So, Real Steel. Personally, I enjoy this movie far more than I really should. Or maybe I shouldn't. Because personally, this movie hits on all cylinders for me. I think it's important to take a step back and to look at Hollywood from what it once was and compare it from what it is today. You know, today now we have too much self-important, ego-driven vanity projects that aren't even really stories about like being a better person, rising to the occasion, things of that nature. It's just about selfish and self-serving ideals being pushed on everyone else and how you need to be this way. So, and I think it's very poetic that I'm doing this video because it is about a selfish protagonist being inherently selfish, doing what's right for his child. And I do enjoy this because they don't try to paint the main character in like a righteous sense. They don't try to make him seem overly perfect. They don't try to do any of those things. They lay out his flaws right there for the audience to see. He literally sells his son for money. I kid you not. And they don't try to paint it as if it's a good thing or something morally just. They don't try to point some type of sympathetic lens on it. Now, of course, we know his motives. He's strapped for cash right now, personally. And honestly, I can relate. But other than that, I do understand the need to talk about this movie the way I'm talking about it now, especially with the current climate of, as I mentioned prior. And honestly, I think this movie just shines a light on righting the wrongs that you've made and honestly, and the importance that it has on the generation yet to come. So Charlie, our main character, is a former boxer, and he pretty much does what most people do in the not so distant future as far as like making money, as far as like professional sports, robotics, i.e. having the hyper advanced cybernetically enhanced robots duking it out and smashing each other into tiny little processing units. And I think it's very interesting the way they go about it. I think the CGI and mo capture is wonderful, like, especially for a movie at the time. It was literally over a decade old movie, yet it looks wonderful if you compare it to like modern day films nowadays. And again, like I said, it's just a very wholesome story. He tries to right his wrongs throughout the entire movie he spends with his child. Now, of course, it isn't perfect at all. He butts heads with a literal child because he doesn't know him. He doesn't know what he likes. He doesn't know what he's into. And he gets to learn about his child through the time he spent with him. And honestly, I just enjoy the very simplistic nature of this story. And again, there are obviously bumps and road bumps that they have. They butt heads constantly throughout the movie. And then later on, halfway through, they finally get to a point to where they genuinely care for each other and love each other. To the point to where he literally was honest with his father, the main character's son. All he wanted was for him to fight for him, to fight for his son, to get back the years that they've lost. That is literally the purpose of what he wanted. That is the only thing he... So shout out goes out to Jay. This comes from my Spider-Man video, and it goes as follows. This story sucked. They knew the fans did not want the story like the one that we got, and they gave it to us anyway. Personally, I disagree, kinda. I don't like the direction they went with Peter, but other than that, I think it's a good game. Other than that, peace and thanks for commenting. He wanted in this movie. And I can't pretend as if I'm made of steel over here. It got to me, man. It really did. It hit a little close to home. Because again, the story is so genuine with how they paint these characters. They're human. They make mistakes. They make flaws throughout the movie, especially with our main character. Again, he's more or less kind of just desperate for cash, and the links he goes through just to get the money to just, I don't know, sustain himself and the person that he is obviously romantically involved with throughout the movie. Honestly, yeah, you can look at him and you know he's morally reprehensible. He's not a good guy for the majority of the movie. And again, the film doesn't paint him that way. They don't try to, you know, put a sad musical cue on there to show how desperate he is. We already know that. The main thing I like about this movie is that they don't treat the audience like they're children. They don't try to spoon feed us too much information. They just let the story play out and they let us come up with our own judgment throughout the movie. And I like the fact that it doesn't end exactly how you would expect these type of movies to end, with the father getting full custody, them riding off into the sunset, so to speak. No. Instead, they come to a compromise and they don't paint any of the characters in any of a relatively negative light besides the father figure, because rightfully so, again, he sold his son for money. $100,000 to be exact. The aunt's character is kind of like the pseudo antagonist of the movie. You know, all she wants is to take primary custody of the child. He did not want to pretty much do this. He didn't want to be a father in the first place, but he finds that he truly does care for his son. They have so much in common. They both have a love for the sport of robot boxing and other things of that nature. And more importantly, I just love how adult the movie is a lot of the time when it comes to the legal side of the custody battle. You know, they don't try to make a big deal about it. They just try to make it front and center so we can get to the main point of it. And again, it doesn't end with Charlie getting his boy all to himself. It doesn't end with that. Because again, he gave up custody outright. He didn't want the responsibilities. So instead, he just wanted one more night with his son, one more night to share with him the passion that they both have when it comes to that. And obviously, the aunt isn't an evil mastermind. She isn't a mustache twirling or hair twirling villain that just wants to get what she wants. She understands that this is also the child's choice, and this is also this child's father. And she allows him to spend the time that they've wanted together since they've bonded throughout this entire experience. And honestly, it ends on a perfect note. It really does. It ends with his son fulfilling his dream, being with his father for one more night before, well, obviously we don't get a resolution to that part of the story because we don't need to. It's a very good movie. It's paced very well. The hard-hitting moments hit very hard. And more importantly, it's just enjoyable. There's no politics injected in there. And again, they don't paint one or more any more than what they should be as far as their morality. And again, I just think it's a very human movie, all things considered, considering the plot of the movie. So other than that, I did enjoy talking about this. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, do the good stuff. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.